Today's Oregon beekeepers come from all walks of life and from all over our state. Some keep bees in the city, some in the suburbs, others keep hives on rural farmland and on Oregon's forested slopes. They are all united by their fascination, some would say passion, for nature's pollinators. Wild bees, bumblebees, and especially the European honeybee. Let us now watch Oregon's beekeepers speak for themselves, and you will soon understand why Oregonians just like you find beekeeping such an interesting and obsessive hobby.
Beekeeping has been something that I've been interested in since I was a little boy, actually, and my grandpa had bees. And I got reinterested in 2009 when I was working in an office space and a little bee landed on my window, and I thought it's about time that I get outside with these guys. If I were to say what did the bees give me, it's enjoyment of seeing an incredible insect and knowing as much as I do about them, and I'm constantly learning to see how much that they do and how complex they really are. It's much more than just an insect flying around collecting nectar. And so I think that's the thing that I appreciate the most, is being able to sit down with them.
I've been a beekeeper for 31 years.
My favorite part of beekeeping is the harvest, because it's always fun to watch that liquid gold coming out of the extractor. And of course, that's your reward for all your hard work throughout the year, and you get to really reap the rewards, hopefully. And there's nothing really much better than that.
My friends and family have been very supportive. I have my hives at my dad's 5 acres, and many of my friends have my hives, and they're surrogate beekeepers for me, and so I get to share the love with them. I don't see whatever you are, man or woman or kid, it doesn't matter, because you're working your bees by yourself. It's more of a solitary thing that it's kind of like fishing. You go fishing by yourself, and I do take people with me, but I'm in the hive so often I'm alone, and it's very peaceful and centering. It's very enjoyable, so it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman or a kid. In 10 years, as regards to beekeeping, I will still be on that big learning curve, enjoying my bees, but I'm going to be a beekeeper, but 10 years older. So that's it. It's just going to be an all your life thing. Once you get in it, you don't get out of it. If you want to become a beekeeper, you should do it, and find a friend that can help you, someone to call, that when things go awry, you have a source to help guide you.
I've been a beekeeper since I was 6, probably. I got attracted to beekeeping because my mom just got me into beekeeping. I think my classmates should know about bees, that bees make a third of our food that we eat, and they should know that bees don't harm people. I would tell my classmates if they wanted advice to be a beekeeper, I would tell them you should probably know that you're gonna get stung a few times. You'll have to put a bee suit on. If they said that they hate bees, I would probably just teach them a little bit about bees, so maybe they're not so scared of bees anymore. It's okay, they're just honeybees. It's not like they're gonna kill you.
My honey was a little bit scared of bees at first, so he had to get won over, and now he's probably adores them as much as I do. And we spend way more time, I think, in our yard just sitting, looking at the bees than we did even enjoying the garden on our own. I think the initial time I ever was in a hive, one of the things that struck me was how many different senses it appeals to. we look and we see, and you can see the bees doing these incredible things, but you can also hear them and you can smell them. And I think the smell of a hive is one of the most exciting parts about being around a hive. It smells, we would probably say like honey, although I suspect we're smelling not just honey, but wax, propolis, other things that the bees are making. But it's such a delightful sensory experience, and I think that was part of it. And also, another of one of the exciting things of being in a hive for me is seeing how the hive works. The hive is a superorganism. So the bees know how to work together to make the hive work for all of them. And just getting to observe that is amazing. Maybe it's analogous to when a plane flies over a city and it's like you can see the whole city from above. It's like that. You're seeing something that works together from a different vantage point.
I learned about bees by going to a bee school, and then I joined Lane County Beekeepers. And I decided after a while that I wanted to be on the board, and when you're on the board of a beekeeping club, you really begin to talk to people that have kept bees for many, many years. And that's when I feel like I really accelerated in my learning. And then being on the board, I became vice president, and then I became the president for 3 years, and then after that I got on the committee for the master beekeepers in Oregon. Well, when people say they just want to help bees and they don't want to maintain a hive, I think that's really wonderful, and I tell them the best thing they can do is grow flowers. So in Eugene, if they plant lavender, if they plant rosemary, shrubs that will stay over a year and bloom a lot, helps not only honeybees but helps all pollinators.
The main thing that beekeeping does for me is it provides an outlet to interact with nature. I'm not really a green thumb, and I've never been the best gardener, but beekeeping keeps me in tune with the seasons, about what's going on, what the weather's like, whether it's climate or rain. It's a fun hobby that connects me to nature. The advice that I'd give to a brand new beekeeper is to find some support, whether that is a local beekeeping club or someone in your town that you know is an experienced beekeeper, or even if it's an online forum or books or websites. I know that I made a lot of mistakes in my first year or two, and not any beekeeper knows everything. So it's always helpful to have someone there who can answer your questions or can guide you through a complicated process, whether it's mites or whether it's finding queen or dealing with honey. Find some support and get some help.
What attracted me to beekeeping was that I always wanted to be an entomologist. And sometimes life has a way of taking sidetracks. But even at my age, I figured, well, if I'm going to do it, I better do it now. And the opportunity came to Central Oregon. In fact, it was Dr. Lynn Royce that came to a Master Gardener's spring seminar. And I saw it at the last minute, and I jumped in, I took the class, and I haven't stopped since. If you want to become a beekeeper, I highly recommend that you find a mentor. I highly recommend that you find the program like the Master Beekeeping Program through the Oregon State University. You can do it on your own, which I've done it on my own, but it has been a long, tedious process. And it means so much more when you can do it with someone else, when you have a second pair of eyes. And I think it's easier on the bees too.
What originally interested me was the problems that you read in the news about all the challenges that bees have. And as I got more and more into it, I found honeybees as being very interesting. Just the way they function, the way they produce honey, and their actual function in pollination. A lot of my neighbors have expressed a lot of interest in seeing the bees, and I've brought them to my beehives and suited them up, and they're really interested in what's going on. My wife has been a little more reticent, and but she's been supportive from a distance.
I've been keeping bees since December. It was 2009 when an owl box fell out of a tree on my property, and I discovered it had bees in it, and I became fascinated with that. Moved it and kept it for a while, and then started getting my own hives. I joined a club after a couple years of beekeeping. I felt like I wanted to meet more beekeepers. I felt like there was more I could learn. I'd read a lot of books, but there's nothing like having a good mentor and getting local knowledge that you get through a bee club. So that was when I joined. I've been a member of the Pub Bee Club for about 2 years now.
I think that what beekeeping does for me is it really makes me be in the present. Whenever I'm around the bees, I know that I have to be sensitive, and I listen, and I smell, and I'm just kind of, I feel like it's almost a meditation to be in touch with this amazing creature that does these amazing things for us. My friends and family reaction to becoming a beekeeper was very positive. I had just retired and I had all this extra time, and the more people I talked to, the more people who were interested. We brought bees to the school that my grandchildren go to. My daughter got 2 new hives, and it just made all these friends, all these bee friends, because everyone's interested in it. And it's been really positive, especially since my husband has seen his little aspect that interests him.
People that would like to help the bees but not keep bees can do many things. They can be very careful of the type of pesticides they use in their gardens. They can plant bee-friendly plants. Don't cut down the dandelions in your pasture right away. Let them flower before you cut them down. Simple things like leave some bare ground out there in your garden. There's a lot of native bees, and they like bare ground.
I was attracted to beekeeping because I'm interested in gardening, and so I started learning about pollinators and the issues with bees, and I wanted to be able to have my own bees, and so I got interested in the Oregon Master Beekeeper program. The advice I'd give to someone wanting to become a beekeeper is to contact your local beekeeping program. I was lucky enough to be able to go into the OSU Master Beekeeper program, also to attend bee school. So just connecting, you don't even have to have bees. You can just sit there, listen, see if it's something you want to do, and they'll get you involved.
Advice I would give friends and family of somebody who has a beekeeper in the family or the friends of a beekeeper. For me, I think one of the biggest things was people are generally afraid of bees. They think that they're this vicious little creature that is out to hurt you, but they're not. They're very self-contained in their hive, and that's what really I learned from it, was they're not dangerous, they're not scary, they're just there to do their job, and if you leave them alone, they leave you alone, and so not be afraid of them. That's one of the big things. They're great for your yard. They pollinate your flowers, your vegetables, all of that. And be there to, respect their hobby. For me, I help my girlfriend in her hobby. I'm not a beekeeper, but she is. And I'll occasionally go out and help her bring things over. I'll be the muscle occasionally. Also, it's kind of off the track, but I'm a blacksmith, so if she needs a bee tool, I can make it for her specially. And so I've done things like in that nature.
I got interested in bees. Initially, I started with mason bees, and I loved having mason bees, and I was talking with a colleague of mine at school about my mason bees, but the problem with mason bees is that they stop doing their thing in June, and I love having the bees around. And he said, oh, you need to have honeybees. Let me show you. And it kind of went from there. A lot of people have actually thought about wanting to be a beekeeper but never gone anywhere with it. And then, like, wow, so you can keep bees in the city? Yes, you can. And they love it. My favorite thing about beekeeping is just sitting on the porch and watching them go back and forth and back and forth, that bee line, and the rush hour that happens almost like clockwork every day around 5 o'clock, the number of bees that are at the door saying it's time for me to go home. It's just, I love watching the bees. That's the best thing about keeping bees.
Beekeeping is a real interesting hobby. Of course, you need the bees, you need the hive to put them in. Any place will do well. There's enough forage that's available. My advice is take a course, find a course in your local area, get a good book on it, and go for it. It's a lot of fun. Well, as a small backyard beekeeper, my favorite thing with bees is the opportunity to get away from everything else, to be part of nature, experiencing nature. To look in a bee colony, to be able to try to figure out what is going on. It's always a mystery, always something new, something different that's going on. So it's sort of that escape from what is the ordinary. And of course, I love the products that they produce. I eat a lot of honey, I always have, in a lot of different ways. And so it offers a chance to, in my backyard, produce something that I can actually consume myself.
If you are interested in becoming a beekeeper, the best way to begin is by attending a meeting of your local bee club. There are OSBA-affiliated bee associations all over the state. The monthly meetings are open to anybody interested in this fascinating insect, even if you do not plan on keeping bees yourself. Please visit orsba.org/beeclubs to locate the meeting nearest you.